45 specials, the CZ75s, as well as the new brand Canik. Canik is actually a very nice gun. Not a lot of recoil nice and firm. So yeah, oppassen dat jy dit skiet. And then later on, that Saturday, me and a friend went to Comic-Con. Comic-Con has grown over the last 3 years. I think it's also one of the biggest events where all the nerds like myself and others come out and play. People in IT, people, photographers. I think Comic-Con is something for the books. I think it was well organized, well played. And I want to encourage our young people. You know, I know tickets is a bit expensive, but I want you, if you can wear a pair of Jordans, then you can surely go and check out Comic-Con. If you're a good illustrator, if you're good with if you're an artist, then Comic-Con is for you. And I want to encourage you, please go and check it out next year, 2026. Comic-Con is something for the books. And then I've got a very young man. He was when he was a baby in the tummy. He was funny, and he's even funny now. He's very young. He's from the Cape Flats. His name is Kurt Schoonraad. Kurt, welcome to Cape Flats Story.
Stan, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
When you said a very young, I even looked like a children. Where's this, bro? Because he's not here yet. That's very sweet of you, very young. I haven't been called young for a long time.
Ages.
No. Now they call me Oom, which is like not even uncle anymore.
Yeah, Oom.
They just went Afrikaans. Because you can call you Oom if you drive a Hilux.
Okay.
And they can also say middag at any time of the day if you drive a Hilux. 3 o'clock in the morning, anytime. Middag Oom, middag. So, thanks for having me over.
Thank you.
Cheers.
This is long overdue. But tell me, we know about you being funny, but we don't really know van waar Zelek soos van Constantia is. Maar from where are you really?
Not that, bro. That couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah.
You know, I drove through there a couple of times.
Okay,
you know,
okay.
I'm from Westridge.
Where's it?
Yeah.
Just plain?
Yep.
Okay.
From Westridge. I was at Rocklands High.
Okay.
I grew up in the first part. I grew up in Home Estate, and I went to Zonnebloem there. And then I came to Westridge in about 82, 83.
Okay.
And then I've been living in Mitchells Plain until about early 2000s. And then I moved to OBS.
Okay.
I call myself Mitchells Plain born and fled. And I've been staying in the Woodstock OBS areas ever since.
Since that time, okay.
Yeah.
So you're a boykie from Mitchells Plain?
I'm from the Blokke, bruh.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
I ran across the Panga Park very often.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had a goose on the other side of the field, you know, so you had to make your way over that field.
You had to run over there.
My bro, I figured out very early on that gangsters, they need to be able to speak to you first.
Yeah.
Before they can rob you. Right? They need to do that whole good cop, bad cop thing. You know, they have to do that, sticky brother, I'll go wag, there's no reclame. Then they first pat you down a little bit, you know the story.
Yeah.
But if you don't give them a chance to, if you just run, then they're confused.
So for a white guy going to Mitchells Plain for the first time,
Yeah.
if a gangster comes to you and you ask you for the time, are you going to give him a time?
Nah, my brother. You know as well as I do. When I ask for your time, your watch is gone.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
But you know, actually, when we were growing up there in the 80s and 90s, it wasn't as bad.
No.
What was rad about it was that in the road I grew up in, there was about 20 other lighties my age.
Yeah.
We all grew up together. We all rode our BMXs and our skateboards, and it was great. There was always someone to play with. Of course, Tuk changed that whole thing completely.
Yeah.
Now there's Owen selling kettles on the corner with the steam still coming out of it. Where'd you get that kettle, bruh?
As jy sê, hulle koek nog terwyl.
My bro, it's still, the steam still taking out of it. They're selling that, my bro. It's like, nah, guy, I don't believe this is yours.
Growing up, you say it wasn't so dangerous back then.
No.
You had your issues. I mean, you guys remember the Station Strangler? Were you there?
Oh, my bro, I was there. I remember when there was a word put out that we had to go into the fields and just go and have a look, you know. And I was one of those lighties walking. I must have been about 12, 13, 14 maybe at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember the time period. It was hectic, bro. That was hectic because it wasn't funny. That wasn't funny. That was hardcore. There was it was a lot of kids that disappeared.
Yeah.
They found them in that field.
Yeah.
opposite the old Westridge High over there.
Mm-mm.
And yeah, I remember that very clearly, bro.
And people are still traumatized, eh?
Of course.
Because look, the station's triangle is out now, right? He's living in
What's
opposite.
it? Afzal Simmons, or what's his name? Something like that. You know, the thing is, there's a lot of people that believe that that's not the case at all.
Yes.
That is, when a community is traumatized like that, I think it takes many, many years for them to. I don't think you overcome it. You just get to learn to live with it. You know.
Exactly.
Lots of people lost their kids there, bro. That was.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a parent now. I understand. This was probably the worst thing that can happen to you, is to lose a light.
Yeah. And you know, when you're a parent, you want to protect your child 24/7, and especially when your child disappear and you don't know where your child is.
I lost my lighty once there in the shopping mall. Yay! Panic about more than anything else. Is like, what am I going to tell his mother? You know, you look around, you don't say anything, you don't go into panic mode and phone and go, yeah, we lost the lighty. You first look around.
Yeah, where's the lighty?
Then you go look everywhere. Then you go to the center security. You go, listen, it's just. And yeah, fine, bruh. Well, hovering around. Hey, like he didn't even know he was lost. You know what? When I was growing up, this might give you a hiding for that.
Yeah.
For getting lost without knowing you're lost, and they give you a hiding, and you wondered what happened.
Yeah.
But you know, and nowadays, of course, you're not allowed to eat your lighties anymore because that's not cool. Right? But I remember, Asma got warning hidings.
For your brother.
Yeah, in front of my brother. They give you a hiding today for the stuff you might do tomorrow. That's not right.
Yeah.
But okay, you know, that was part of the territory.
Exactly.
You got the Paxima just so they were confused. You might get the hiding as well.
Did you always wanted to be a comedian? Or what was your dream?
Man, I always thought I was funny with my friends around the braai, and when I was growing up, being a comedian as a professional it wasn't possible. It wasn't a vocation, you know. As a colored, you either had to be a teacher or
a bouwman.
Or a bouwman or a plumber or for iets soos dit, you know. So to become a professional artist, wow, even now when I think back at it, it's like I never thought it would ever be possible. You know? I was always the funny lighty at school, funny lighty around the braai, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I never ever thought it would turn into a career choice. Never. But it's fantastic that it has turned into what it has.
But it wasn't easy, eh? Because I mean, you were one of the first guys. I mean, let's put it out there. You were one of the first talent guys. I mean, you know, and anything for us is difficult.
Man, it was difficult at the beginning. But what was very encouraging about the comedy field was that, you know, even from the very beginning, they didn't actually care what color you were. If you were funny and you were able to get the audience to laugh, hey, you're welcome, me. Come play. And also when this whole thing kicked off in 99, 2000, I was just at the right place at the right time because the Plainsman, you know the Plainsman,
yes.
had an ad in for, back then it was called the Smirnoff Comedy Festival down at the Baxter, and they were looking for new faces. And my girlfriend at the time went, you must go and try out for this. And I was like, it was probably 200 professionals there trying to. So anyway, I took a bet on, and I was trying to prove her wrong that they would accept me. So, and they did. So
okay.
And then I was invited. That was a 2-week thing. At the New Faces stage upstairs. This is ironically the same stage where I'm going to be performing next week.
Nice.
So it's like 22 years later, bro. It's crazy. But anyway, so after the first week, there was an English couple that came there, and they said. They were running a place called the Armchair Theatre in Obs, and their company was called Cape Comedy Collective, and they told me, we've got some other comedians that work with us all the time on a Sunday night. The one guy's name is Mark Lottering, the other one's guy's name is Stuart Taylor, Riyad Musa, Dave Levinson. They were all part of the Cape Comedy Collective at the time. They said, do you want to join? I went, yeah, okay.
Why not?
I thought I was going to do this 2 weeks, tick that box and move on with my life. You know? But it's something that I always wanted to do, so it was rad. And then I went there, and the rest is history. You know, we all met there, we all worked together, we all wrote each other's material. We became good mates. I mean, all of us are still friends today.
22 years later.
That was 99.
Okay.
So that was 26
26
years
years
ago.
later.
My first one-man show was called Punchlines, and that ran in that venue. It was about 3 years later.
Wow.
And I'm going back to that venue next week to do Funny Side Up.
Nice.
Red.
This lady saying, Kenneth here, so she was sitting in the same chair as you sitting last week.
Oh, yeah?
And she's saying, Kurt and myself grew up in Angus Way, Westridge.
Yes! That's Kenneth here. I know Kenneth here.
Yeah.
Kenneth here Jackson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our brothers, our one brother's called Michael Jackson.
Are you
Jen,
serious?
yeah. Michael Jackson, Denzel Jackson. Baby Jackson, there was another one called Baby, and she was Kenneth here, of course.
Yeah.
She went on to do some really cool stuff in the IT business.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember that.
She was here last week. She was on a show last week and she spoke about it. But yeah, tell me.
Small world.
Small world. Tell me, you said now that, it started out as a challenge. But are you sorry that you are in the space?
Man, there are moments. There are moments like just during COVID. Now, at the time I was running and I owned and started the Cape Town Comedy Club there. And I had a contract, a lease with the waterfront, And of course we weren't able to put bums on seats there because it was locked down. It was literally illegal for us to do so. So it became very, very difficult to do business. And of course, eventually we were going to breach our contract. And you don't want to tangle with lawyers like that, So it became very stressful for me that way. But it was part of the course, And then the whole world changed. We thought it was going to be 6 weeks.
It was almost 2 years.
2 years. And by then, I'd had to close the comedy club down, and I was facing all kinds of charges, but stuff with labor lawyers because of the staff and TERS payments, and it became very, very complicated. And I didn't enjoy that part of it, I must be honest. I really enjoyed the comedy club side of it. I enjoyed developing the young talent. I enjoyed doing the comedy myself. But there's also a whole very business side of it that I didn't enjoy too much. Not that part of it anyway.
You didn't sign up for that?
No, I never signed up for that. Also towards the end, it's really weird how it happened because it was almost like a blessing in disguise towards the end, because towards the end we had like 36 staff. It was a big business.
Yeah.
It was never intended to be that. It was always supposed to be a small club with a small staff contingent, but then it became bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And listen, it was very successful. I was very happy with it. But at the stress levels were crazy, bro. I mean, I don't think I would have hit 50 years old if I still clubbed.
You continued.
I would have capped on some kind of heart attack or cardiac arrest or it.
Yeah. Tell me, you mentioned something about nurturing the young talent. We have a lot of talent. But you also mentioned earlier, while we were offline, there isn't resources or people to take this. I mean, the flats is full of talent. We have singers. Ons almal kan kakpraat, Ons is kwaai met hy.
There is, it's not only, mention a genre, sport, the arts, through everything. There is no shortage of talent on the flats. And also there's a certain kind of thing that colored people have. We all have it. It's a buzz. I can't put words to it. And it's a street buzz. It's a vibe, an understanding of things without needing to be told what it is. And it's helped me a lot when I was dealing with the bigger business world. Is my street cred just got me through a lot of stuff. I understood things before they were telling it to me, I think there's an inherent thing like that with us colored people. And it needs to be nurtured. And if we're given the right opportunities to do so, I mean, I've seen it in front of me. You give the oaks the opportunity, and they fly, bro. They fly.
And they're hungry for the opportunity.
They are hungry for the. Listen, I've also ran into a couple of pooples, There's no shortage of that either.
There's always some of them.
There's always a poople trying to cut corners and stuff, But for the talented people, there's no shortage of that at all, none whatsoever.
You were in a few movies. I remember I spoke to you earlier about it. Going Nowhere Slowly. That was one of my favorite classics.
Cheers.
Just watching it, and then also you said Schemer as well. I actually watched it as well. Tell us about your movie career as an actor?
Well, you know, they always said, they say that comedians make good actors. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they say. So I was really lucky. I got invited to play a lot of the time in the movie stuff.
Okay.
With Going Nowhere Slowly, there was a whole audition process, and what most people don't know is that I was in the pilot. So just to give it a bit of context there, to produce a television show, you shoot a pilot first.
Yeah.
So it's like a proof of concept type of vibe, where you prove that the concept works. And that's what you take as a pilot to sell it to distributors, television stations, streamers, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So when we shot the pilot, it was with an Australian comedian, an English comedian, and myself traveling through the country meeting people. And keep in mind that this is before Top Gear.
Yeah.
This is before, because it was just a thing that we stumbled onto, because Top Gear took up the same format of just three oaks, just talking kak really, you know. And it's the same thing that we stumbled onto over here. And then it sat on a shelf for like 2 years, nobody wanted it.
Yeah.
We tried to sell it to all kinds of distributors and nobody wanted to. They were like, nah, it will never work.
Yeah.
Emirates went, ETV was like, Eventually, it sat on a shelf and we were like, okay, let's move on. And I went on to do my comedy and so on and so forth. And then about 2 years later, some commissioning editor from SABC called up and said, why aren't we doing this? I said, that's what we've been trying to figure out.
Yeah.
So we've been trying to sell it to you for ages. What do you mean, why aren't we doing it? Make it happen.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is fabulous. We really want to do this.
Nice.
And 2 weeks later, we were on the road shooting, bro. And the first season with the red car, nobody really batted an eyelid. It was like, but I was enjoying doing it because we were traveling. Like, by the time the second season landed, we couldn't drive the car anyway. Everybody knew. It was like from one day to the other.
Yeah.
I went to the shop and they were, aren't you the guy from the thing?
Yes.
And I was doing comedy for years before then, and no one batted an eyelid, bro. So it was it was a lekker shock, but quite a shock.
Yeah.
And then it just went, as the seasons got in and we got more and more guys involved, and then Stuart Taylor was my housemate at the time. Then he got involved, and as over the years we got so many really cool celebrities involved in that show.
Yeah.
I was very lucky to be invited to play there.
And you managed to travel to most countries in Africa.
Well, sub-Saharan Africa. Okay. So as far as like Malawi, I think was the furthest part we went to. But we drove this plek fraught, just all over.
With the V8?
With the V8.
What was the petrol like?
No, listen, we were sponsored by Engine.
Okay, no, it's fine, it's fine.
So we had a card. And that covered all of the bases.
Wow. I mean, that is a dream. Obviously, for any person that is a car enthusiast to drive in a V8 muscle car. Yeah. One of those cars, you can just sit back and talking like
it's a couch, bro.
Talking.
Exactly, it was a couch, and we put cameras in. We even developed some, some stuff during that show. This is before the days of GoPros. We didn't have GoPros then. So what we did was we put security cameras on long sticks. Yeah. Some of those shots are still on.
I saw yeah.
But that was first generation GoPro, bro.
Yeah. And now you have GoPro. Now it's much more easier.
Now the equipment has become so much easier, and also there have been so many spin-offs of Going Nowhere Slowly. Some of them with off-roading, some of them with bakkies only, some of them with food and travel. But there's been a lot since then. I mean, I read a brief not too long ago. They said they're looking for a Going Nowhere Slowly type show, and so I want to go try out, and I didn't get it, bro. I was like.
And you're the pioneer, one of the pioneers.
Yeah, they're using it as a genre. And I didn't get it. I was a bit pissed off. You can't win them all, my bro. You know what I mean? Exactly.
But you're also a car guy.
Oh, big time.
I follow you actually for that reason. I follow you for your cars. Okay, for your jokes as well.
Cheers. Well, my page is called Kurt Loves Cars.
Yes, yes.
And it's everything cars. It's everything cars.
I mean, any boy from the Cape Flats. I mean, you're living the dream.
Yeah,
let's face it, you're living the dream. When you grew up in Sosplein, you saw the XR8s, you saw the 3-liter 3S's, you saw the Piranhas, you saw triple S's, you saw those cars.
Yes.
That probably got you to where you are now.
I was a Ford cop back in the day, bro. So when I went to Indiana, it was with the Ford guys, and the Datsunos were persona non grata, my bro. We were like, I don't talk to those. And then there was a guy called Riffy. I don't know if you remember.
Yes.
Riffy had that Datsun bin.
Yes, he's from Grassy Park.
Grassy Park.
Yes,
yeah,
I
he
know
had
it.
that Datsun, that Pepsi bin.
Yes.
Yes, that thing was fast, bro.
Yeah.
That was evil. Now today, what I want to do is there's so many others I know that are from the flats. They love their old cars. And you know, I want to make it clear. It doesn't have to be a Ferrari or a Lamborghini.
No.
There just has to be a passion for it. And there's a couple of cars today I would kill for that were follow, for lack of a better term, when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Like a Datsun 160U Coupe. My bro,
You don't get him.
do you know, most people don't know this, but in Japan, those things are very sought after as
Yes.
well. Bro, R1 million for a good one. They're called Wabashi Cannonballs. Because they had triple S motors in them. Oh, but there's no rev limit on that car. You just revved it until your foot got tired. Hey, my bro. With that twin SUs on the side, it made a certain kind of... it was just, bro. Lank. I loved every single minute of it. So I own one or two of those old Datsuns now.
Really?
Yeah, I got a 160Y, my bro. You know, the 6 round lights? I found one in Joburg after years and years of looking for one. That's in Resto at the moment. There is a Piranha Capri clone that I'm busy with as well. But no, that's not a real one. In all honesty, it's not a real one.
But the Piranha, there was only a few made of them. Because
400, give or take a bit, yeah.
Because Basil made them.
Basil Green.
Yeah.
So each one of them have a BG number.
Yes.
On the sill plate and on the doorpost. Yeah. But there's a couple of other telltale signs as well. Like the steering rack is upside down. Sorry, back to front. Because the sump of the V8, you couldn't put it past that, so they reversed this front steering rack. Of course, there are much shorter diff in it, different ratio. And I mean, if you're lucky, there were also manuals and automatics. But the Ninja ones were always the yellow and black.
Yes, that was the classic one.
So that's I'm building one like that.
Nice.
I got a 302 5-liter V8 motor for it. All the bells and whistles, the reversed steering rack. Man, it's more and more the parts are getting harder to find. You know. And then I've got a couple. I love the old cars, and I get. So what happens is I see a car and I fall in love.
Yeah.
Then I get halfway through the restoration.
Yeah.
Then I fall in love with it, man. So I buy that one as well.
Yeah.
Because now it's a bargain. It came up with that.
Yeah.
Then I get halfway through that and I say another one. And buy that one. So now I got clone cars that are half restored.
Yeah.
And that's not practical at all. That's not practical.
But the thing is, this is like you enjoying it, man.
I love it.
It was your child. I mean, that is what I always tell the youngsters after Cape Flats. You know what? Dream.
Yes.
And cars were one of those things when you saw a nice car down the road or the bra just popping the car, it got to you, man.
Man, I was very happy to just drive in one or look at it. I didn't have to burn tires. When I was growing up, it was that XR8 thing. That was like, everybody wanted one of those. But those Datsuns were always very popular back then.
Yeah.
Then there were, I mean, like, the GTIs just, those 79, 80, those GTIs just came out.
Just the box type one.
Exactly. I had a CTI for years back in the day, which essentially is a GTI with fuel injection, really. You know? That car got stolen about 5 times, bro.
And you got it back every time.
Wait, there was one time a guy came back with a better set of bags on.
And he actually kept it.
And then eventually the 5th time it disappeared and never came back. But the one time I'm watering the lawn next. I tell my neighbor, bro, they stole my car last night again. He goes, really? I was like, yeah. He goes, I think I might have helped him. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, man, the 2 Owens showed up in overalls. They said they're trying to get the car, they're taking it away for service and repairs and stuff. So I pushed him, I helped him push it down the road, bro.
He actually helped sell the car.
Eventually we got the car standing down the road because we had one of those micro switches with the alarms, you know.
Okay.
So you need to know where that switch is, otherwise the car just tunes I'm standing right here.
Ek is klaar.
It's klaar. Come maar ry. But yeah, I was that dreaming thing. My dad was also a bit of a backyard Mackie type of, you know. And so he gave it to me bad, you know. They say it's a disease. If you're lucky, it takes about 80 years to kill you, but it's incurable, man. This car thing.
And I think, if you look at now, we have a lot of options nowadays.
Yeah.
While we're on the topic of cars, what do you think about the Chinese coming in?
Man, it's caused a lot of cack, I'll give you that. But it's also created opportunities, you know. And, you know, at first, my first reaction to them was, it's just more cheap stuff. But, you know, I took one or two of them out for a cruise, and we reviewed one or two of them. And I was like, they weren't cock, eh?
No.
They had all the creature comforts, they had all of the nice leather, and they had all of the extras, you know, 2 air cons, traction control, electronic suspension, some of them have now. So the technology is crazy, and they're giving it to you at a fraction of the price the German oaks are doing.
Yeah.
So surely you can't ignore that. Then there's the whole EV story, EV versus hybrid versus combustion engine stuff. And I think it's just a very, very exciting time, you know. But you don't want to run out of batteries. You know?
That's the other thing is. Yeah. But I think also the options is there. I think, personally, the Chinese cars give it another 3-4 more years.
Yeah, you reckon it's going to... You know, also, there's brands like Toyota, for example, and that stuff stood the test of time.
Exactly.
And you know, they don't make them like Toyota, bro. I think they over-engineer Toyotas. I mean, I drive a Hilux, my bro. That's my daily drive.
Yeah.
Because I know it's not going to go you weg.
No.
It's not.
No.
And, but yeah, you know, you can always tell how a brand settles into a community. If like 10, 15, 20 years, like, you know who's done fantastically, the Korean brand Hyundai.
Exactly.
Has done very well in the South African market, because not only did they come in with a really affordable car 15 years ago, 16 years ago, I'm not sure when they came into the country.
No, they came here in 2012,
I think.
No, 2003.
2003 already.
Yeah,
okay, that's almost 20 years now. It's more than 20 years.
They had a car, a very junk car called the Sonata.
I remember the Sonata.
There was a problem car.
I remember the Sonata. But what they've also done over the years is prove reliability, access to aftermarket parts, spares, a long line of production lines that have parts and serviceability in South Africa. I mean, there are other brands, for example. Stellantis is a great example, where there's some fantastic cars like Peugeot.
Yes.
Do they know?
Yes.
But if something goes wrong with it, you lick a pop, my bro.
It's freaking expensive.
It's freaking expensive. You've got to wait 13 weeks while your car's on a lift somewhere. You've got to pay for storage and the car's bond payment, and so the payment every month. You're waiting for oil pump to stick out. And if you're living in France, that's fantastic. But if you live in South Africa, there's just not that infrastructure in place. I mean, there's 5 big brands in South Africa. Toyota, Mercedes-Benz, Audi, Mercedes-Benz and BMW. These you have parts on the shelf for the most part. Everything else you're going to have to, I mean, Volvo, great car. Cack with parts.
Expensive.
Just expensive with parts. There was a car called Saab, you remember the Saab?
Yes, SAAB,
Now Saab used to have a thing called a 9.3 Aero Coupe. Yes, what a lekker car, bro. They make jet fighters, my bro. They're not scum, and they know what they're doing. But aftermarket space, impossible.
They actually part of Mercedes-Benz, eh?
At one stage, they went in and out of different ownerships over the years, I believe.
I actually read an article, the BAIC, BAIC, that BAIC Beijing cars. So Mercedes-Benz and Saab actually combined, and they actually work together with BAIC on the Beijing.
Oh, cool.
So they're actually part of that cost, you know. So it's actually strange to see how the German and those brands are actually working with the Chinese.
Man, you know, you either gotta go. Can I try that in English again? You don't want to go against people if you know you can't. So there's things. There's the shared platform thing. The shared platform thing is very important, and it has become very important in the automotive space. It's like the Minis, for example, have Renault engines in them. They always have, even though it's a BMW product. But because of shared platforms, so what they do is they literally take engines that they know is reliable. It's got a certain mileage that it's almost guaranteed. And instead of spending the money on research and development of a new engine, they take that and they make the car more affordable, and then everybody can buy one. So shared platform, there's some advantages, there's some disadvantages in that. Some of them are just horrible. This shared platform.
Yes. You know, and the thing is this, with shared platform, it means actually that they're still finding one another. And the thing is this.
But like us in the dark.
It's like, and only after years, once they found out, okay, this is going to work, that's only then when you can really trust the brand. But enough about cars. Ons praat nie heel oor die karre nie. But I want to ask you, growing up on the Cape Flats, you also had challenges, and because I mean we come from the Cape Flats,
Yeah.
drugs, gangsterism, those type of things. How did you manage? Because I want our viewers to listen to you tonight and see. But you know what? Kurt comes from the Cape Flats, and he didn't turn out to be too bad.
Thanks, my bro. I think the biggest challenges for me at the time was not feeling like I was good enough.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a very colored thing, and it's something that there's a formal psychological term for it. It's called imposter syndrome. You constantly believe that you're not good enough. You're never going to be able to be good enough. You just can't do it. And I think my opening came because listen, I never left Mitchell's Plain in the early part of my life.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to school there, I went to the doctor there, I went to the shopping mall, I played sports, I came home, I did it again. So I didn't leave the flats.
Yeah.
So when I finished matric, I went to Cape Tech to do a marketing and stats course there. And it was the first time I was actually introduced to white people. Before then, I used to work there, you know, paint that, finish that, vacuum that, you can leave when you're done, you know. So I never really interacted with white people on the same level.
Yes.
So there were some Owens in the lecture halls next to me. And then there's one brother tried to copy from me, my bro. I'm like, how dumb are you, my guy? If you try to copy from me. And I realized very quickly that the universe is not like we were taught it to be. And we didn't, no one came there with a formal thing like, oh, you are inferior. And, it wasn't like, it was all subtle.
Yeah.
It was like watching TV, reading newspapers, reading a magazine. There were no colored people that were famous. There were no colored people that were stars. It was all some other white bra and some other white bra and some other white bra. So we consumed it that way. I think the change came for me was when, I think it was about 23, 24. I went traveling through Europe on a backpacking trip. We were supposed to be 3 of us that went. We were all in high school, Rocklands. But they all bailed one at a time. Girlfriend, job, that kind of thing. And I went, I can't. I'm going to go. I saved all this money. I'm going to go. So I bought a URail ticket, which is like a ticket that buys you a certain amount of rides. And I disappeared for about 3 months.
Wow.
I slept in fields, I slept on train stations. You know when colored people could still do that? And brown people. Pre-9/11.
Yeah.
And I met people and did things, and then I came back and I realized there's absolutely not only nothing wrong with colored people, but we were very capable. We could make a plan, smuggle a thing, do a vibe. And I mean, according to I met these 3 Danish owns. Right? And when you're traveling in a group, it's always easier for accommodation and food and all of that. You know? So I met these 3 Danish oaks, and I realized that if I clip in, and I'm the 4th bra in the group, we can get rooms for cheaper, we can eat better, we can do all kinds of stuff. So we're on this train station in Italy, my bro, underground. Right? I check there's a bra standing there, there's about 5 of them, but they all got the same t-shirt on, clearly a football club or something. And I must know when Owens are plotting against you, my bro. They're conkling like this. They're like, and they're looking over at us. I tune 3 Danish ones. Here is Kak coming here, bro. These 5 Owens are going to try to rob us. They were like, you know, you're so South African. You're worried about crime. And I'm like, me bro, these oaks, I can spot Kak when I see it. This is it here, bro. Yes, like, bro, we get off the train. One oak comes over to me. He's got a knife, guy. I got a t-shirt around my hand. As my mouth looked at him like, yay! I turn around, the 3 Danish ones.
They're running,
my brother, leave me alone. But those 5 Italian ones, they realized very quickly, and I wasn't going to run. And I wasn't bang for them with short little ones like this. I was like, no. And they turned around and they walked away. But that's what I mean, is that we've got a way of not only surviving, but excelling in certain places if you give us the opportunity to do so. Coming from the flats is not a curse, it's actually an advantage, but you've almost got to leave it to understand it. And I mean, I also know a lot of oaks that come from the flats that I met in Joburg, and those oaks are flying, bro. Because when you get into Joburg, there's a whole different mentality over there. It's got, your color's got nothing to do with it. Over there, it's about opportunity, what you can bring to the party, to a company, to a community, to an organization, and they're willing to pay you for it. And that's that. I know a lot of colored folks from the flats that have excelled immensely in Johannesburg. A lot of them own their own companies today. A lot of them have become super successful. And they can't come home. They can't come to Cape Town again. Not the same way, unless they come to retire, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And the thing is, I think we are too comfort and we have given up on ourselves. Like you say, sometimes we need to get out of our nest and to see what's out there.
But listen, man, I hate to do this apartheid thing again, but I mean, I think it's important to know. Mitchell's Plain was designed to keep us in a certain space. It was designed to not let you live. It was designed that way. I mean, there's no coincidence that until recently, there's 1 or 2 ways in and out of Mitchell's Plain, my bro.
Yeah.
It's meant to do that. So when the shit hits the fan, you can contain us. Right? And they put us on a different part of the world where there is no... I mean, nowadays in these communities that build resources around them. But I'm talking in the early 80s. It was literally meant to segregate you from certain things and away from certain amenities and spaces and opportunities and stuff. So sometimes I need to almost pinch myself to go, how successful apartheid has been at not only containing us physically, but containing our minds. Mentally, giving you the impression that you can't leave here. But I mean, I highly recommend it. Explore, step out. And I know it's hard to do when you don't have the resources or the funds to do so. But you can, if you want to hustle it. I mean, do you know, when I was living in the plain, you know the palaces? My mom had palaces in the front over there. She stood on the palaces there. And dream about how I'm going to become a comedian one day. And then the gangsters who come past, and then they'd actually make fun of me. They go, there was a guy called Jonathan. He used to tell his friends, "Ik zie Kurt, you see full of what you going to become?" I said, "Become a comedian." And they all laughed and walked off. I'm like, "Yeah, my bro, watch. Now?
Ja, ik had nog een raakje.
Yeah, my bro. And then eventually, my parents still stayed in Mitchell's Plain for a long time after I left. And I'll never forget, I had this Chevy Camaro, you know.
Nice.
69 Camaro, very special car. I love that car. I sold it to start the comedy club.
Okay. Sacrifice.
Sacrifices, my brother. Then sacrifices have to be made. We all have to make sacrifices to get what you want. But I remember cruising through Mitchell's Plain in that Camaro. Yes, I felt like a boss. It was fantastic. But it wasn't like it was weird because it wasn't like a breakgat type of thing. It was I was part of a group of Owens that were all car guys. You know? And I used to show up there. I mean, Camaro's literally got 2 seats and 2 small seats, but there's 8 of us in that car. We go, pal.
We gaan no skit nou.
Ons gaan no skit, yeah. You go to the pubby over there, you know, hang out a little bit. It's like, we used to love it. Absolutely.
Pubby was a very historical place, eh?
Yes.
I see that they are busy restoring it now.
Oh yeah?
But
I didn't know that.
No, it's busy. I actually saw the plans and stuff. But I think they should have made a pitch there. Eh? They should have actually kept the pitch there.
Hey, listen, man, there was also a lot of demagogheid over there during that whole during that time period. Because I remember us just clapping the deck there a couple of times, and this quarter that's going off over there, but let it crawl out the deal car. But it was, you know, it was all good fun. We had lots of, I got very good memories of both the pavilion and what's the spot that's
Indiana.
Indiana.
You
know, when that I was burning wheelies in his 30S Ford and his goose comes out the door. Yeah, we watched all of that. You know. Thank God no one got too hurt. You know what I mean? And lekker. I only have like lekker good memories of that car stuff. There's a smell of tires burning.
Yeah.
And not only during the riots, but at Indiana, it's like a lekker smell, you know.
Like I said previous to you that it was the cause that kept young boys like ourselves dreaming. I think that is what I want to tell our youngsters, not to stop dreaming. It looks as like ons het opgehou begin te dromen.
And you know, the problem about being stifled is that a lot of the time they take your dreams as well. You know? So you're right. You can't actually get anywhere without a dream. You have to believe in it just a little bit, that whatever you're dreaming is possible. So my old high school is Rocklands High.
Yeah.
So for the longest time after I finished school, something like 12, 13 years or so, I used to go back to my old high school. During the matric year, they had a matric camp. And they used to get me over and I speak to the matric class about being in that school at the same time, about the same time as they were, dreaming and hoping for things. And there was a couple of valuable stuff I'd like to believe I shared with them during the course of that space over there. Because, you know, even your parents can dream for you, but they can't live your dream for you. You've got to dream it yourself. And I remember being the lighty with a dream to be a comedian. I mean, everyone laughed at me. They're like, really, my bro? I'm like, yeah. I actually know for the longest time I didn't even think it was ever going to be possible.
But you made it.
Somewhere along the line, the universe just went, it's like, if we give you this comedy vibe, will you just shut up, man?
Yeah. And the thing is this, with yourself, if you look at yourself in mouth-watering comes from to explain.
Well, lottering comes from retreat, I believe.
Yeah. Sorry. But I think his parents later on moved him to Spain.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure.
I've never heard that particular story before. Stuart Taylor, like I said earlier, was my housemate. He's from Grassy Park. Riyadh was also from the retreat area, Elfindale area. Who was the other Colourdogs at the time? I think that. David Isaacs.
Yes.
From Parkwood.
Yes, Parkwood, yes.
You know what most people don't know, David Isaacs is a close mate of mine. I was the best man at his wedding, not Oscar. It's just weird. But we go back ages. We shot Scheme together.
Okay.
And we became very good friends. There's another guy called Keenan Harrison. I don't know if you know Keenan Harrison.
Yes.
Keenan Harrison was also on that set with us, and we became very good mates. We're still good mates today, all three of us. We still see each other quite regularly. You know?
And how did acting? How did it go for you? I mean, you went now from comedy, and then you went to acting. I mean, did you go to an acting school or something?
No, I didn't actually. So what happened was, thanks for reminding me, because you had this question, I didn't answer it. No, what happened was, so acting is if you're a comedian and you know how to play a character. I had this character, Mr. Braincheese, that was always in the wrong place at the wrong time on the flats. You know? So now there's a certain understanding to how characters work that comedy teaches you. So this guy called Tim Green, who wrote Scheme, invited me to play. Now remember, I was playing a lead role in it.
The main role.
And I'm like, are you sure about this?
Yeah.
He goes, listen, man, you just do what you do. I will guide you as the director, and then we'll be all right. And then he guided me. He goes, okay, Kurtie, you're on about a 6 right now. Give me about a 3. Just tone it down a little bit. Do the lines. The lines are real. And when I watched the finished product, I was like, wow, actually he made me act. And then from there, most recently I did one with John Barker and Umbrella Men. I got to play a warden who was a bad man. Even my mom was like this.
Wat is er
like, mom, it's just a character.
Yeah.
And then there was a time when David Isaacs was on Seven Alarm, I think it was, and he had his character had beat up this woman on camera. Yeah, you will not believe how the Cape Flats take that kak seriously.
They do actually.
We were in the shopping mall, they want to chase me, come on!
Yeah, it's like from me.
It's like from me. I'm like, bro, this is a character, you understand this. But no, they don't. They believe it's real.
Yes. Who was it? It was in Inside Ooster also.
Yeah.
With the third wife. Leanne van Roy.
Yes.
And they were very much upset with her because she comes into those people's lives now as the third wife. People take it serious, eh?
Man, you know Leanne van Roy lived across the road from me in Ops.
Okay.
It's amazing. All of these people, we all kind of know each other. It's a very small community of people. We know each other. And it's just lekker when you understand how all of these people are connected. And they all come from the flats, and there's a very big respect, especially in the comedy industry. Yeah. There's a big respect for each other's achievements. And there's a big celebration of each other's achievements. And I'm very, very proud of that.
I saw you, I think it was 2 years ago, you were at Premium Sports Bar.
Yes.
It was nice having you there.
Cheers, man.
Your fans, your people from the plane are quite impressed with you.
Man, we had such a lekker time. So, it was one of the weirdest things because I had opened up for a friend of mine called Alfred Adrian.
Yes. He was here.
Oh, was he here as well?
He was here as well.
So I opened for him. He said, "Listen, you're from Mitchell's Plain." I went, "Yeah." He says, "Listen, come and open for us, Tim. Just introduce me." So I went there and I did like 15 minutes and I introduced him. Then I had such a lekker time there, and I said, "Okay, listen, I promise I'm coming back." And then I booked these dates, and then, man, it was during load shedding. And then the load shedding schedule changed. And it was supposed to be at Westridge High. And then one of the teachers that I've been organizing with and the principal went, "Listen, we can't continue with that show because once the sun sets, it becomes a different place and it becomes challenging and dangerous potentially. We don't want anything to happen to anybody." So I said, "Okay, we will postpone this and then I will come back at a different time." And eventually I came back to Premium, and we kind of honored all of those tickets.
Nice.
And we had a joke. It was lovely. I had a great time.
I was there and I actually enjoyed it. So
Fantastic. Thanks for coming, bro.
The owner of Premium Sports, but I don't want to say this, he's actually my neighbor also.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Yeah,
Doesn't he live in Mitchell's Plain?
He lives in Strandfontein.
Oh, okay. Same thing.
No, it's part of it's Beasley East.
Mitchell's Plain with a view.
Kurt, tell me your take, and we are coming almost to a close, but your take on politics. I never heard you spoke about politics, but I want to throw in the deep end.
Man, this new show that I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's the first time I'm covering politics in a show. I've never done politics, and also the big orange guy from overseas. He's also now just a proper skommel so I've got to be able to say something about him. So I'm working on a Donald Trump impersonation because he says the dumbest stuff, and I want to be able to share it. But also in the South African context, the whole political environment is up against the wall at the moment. Our government has done some really silly shit, Just to give you an idea, our Air Force, we've got 4 planes in our Air Force. There's about 300 of them that they're not maintained, so they're not flight worthy. Like road worthy.
Yeah,
but no crusty glass in the cabin. But it's not flight worthy. They're not allowed to go in the air. So they got 4 planes, my friend. 1 training plane, 1 helicopter, and another jet fighter type of vibe.
That's all they have.
That's all they have. That's if anybody attacked us, we're going to have to call Mavericks.
No, but listen.
Because they got their plane with a flag at the back, and we can fly a white flag here, surrender.
They actually sold it, eh?
They sold it.
They sold it to JP Smith. So JP Smith put the I in there now.
Sprak al deze own jokes. Stand.
I was playing. No, that's not playing.
That was a good one, man.
No, I don't. But here's a similar plane. Do you remember that also? They said actually, if the president of Russia, Vladimir must come here, they're gonna arrest him. I mean, look at our Minister of Defense. I don't have an issue with it.
My bro, it's a joke almost. It's a joke. So listen, what you got to do is get professionals to do professional work.
Exactly.
Right? You can't be the Minister of Minerals and Resources this year, and next year the Minister of Defense. My bra. The one requires a completely different skill set than the other, right? It's just not cool. There's all kinds of stupid shit we've done over the years, and I mean, get the professionals to do the professional stuff. And it's not like we've had a shortage. And then also, the silly shit, right? So, the end of last year I was invited to the opening of Parliament, right? I was a +1 with a friend of mine, Taryn. So Taryn's in a wheelchair. So they invite Taryn, and she's like a proper lobbyist for people's rights and accessibility rights. They passed us around like a bank at a roadblock, my bro. We couldn't get in on any angle. I tell them, I don't drive around with a wheelchair to irritate you. Because we need to be able to get inside. So you got all of your lanyards, your invitations, nothing, bro. We just drove around for an hour. Eventually some cop just pitied us. He was looking at it, he was okay, wait, hold on. What's going on? So I'm trying to explain to him. Eventually they send us to the park where all the members of Parliament park. I can't tell you what level of luxury automobiles were parking over there, bro. This is all paid for by taxpayer money.
By our money.
It looks like a German luxury SUV sales spot. hundreds of Audis, Mercedes Benzes, BMW, but none of the entry level stuff. They're all the Q7s and the X6s and the RS. The whole alphabet was there, different shapes, right? And no car under a year old or over a year old. Right, but we can't get the simplest shit right. We can't fix up potholes. We can't. So now you got to understand, where you give where you give somebody an opportunity to balance a budget. He's always going to service himself first.
No, they're going to look after themselves.
The theory of being a civil servant is lost on these people. The word servant kind of gives you an idea as to what is required from you. No, sir, not over there. And then the deputies is also driving high-end SUVs.
Yeah.
No, guys, it's not Christian.
But this is the thing. Why didn't they wanted to increase the VAT?
Yeah.
Why not fire all the deputies?
Man, they could have fired a lot. There's a lot of deputies there and a lot of portfolios that have no purpose.
Yes.
They have no purpose.
The Minister of Electricity.
It's like having the Minister of TB. Because you can't make up that, you know what I mean?
I think, but we also got used to them making up cuck, so we are buying it.
No, what it is we became complacent. We've been dealt so much shit in our time, right? That we just go, here we go again, and we accept it and we don't really roll it.
Yeah.
We should fight it, bro.
Yeah.
What you should do is vote for parties that are actually going to represent the people, sorry. What we do is we vote for political parties the same way we support football teams.
Yeah, Liverpool.
Who's going to win? We support those ones.
Liverpool.
No, my guy. No.
Yeah.
I can't see. I mean, like I said, I'm not a politician. I don't profess politics. But I can't see how you can vote for the same people that fuck up so many times. How can I say that?
Yeah, no, it's fine.
You can't keep voting. You can't keep voting for the same people and expect different results. Of course it's going to end the same way.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't romanticize my relationship with any political party. I don't care what color your flag is.
Yeah.
I
think we learn the hard way. Once we get to know them, we may just say this is another bullshitter. Say some is brave with your rope.
My bro, I must tell you some of my rope stories, my bro. The first time I got robbed, I'll never forget it. I had one of the Donkey Kong games that you open up the dual screen one.
Yes.
And everyone had this single screen one. So my dad bought me this one for my birthday. Yes, I was lang chuffed. So I went to the game shop over there. But I shouldn't be. Listen, I give you 4 of those single ones for that double one. I go, okay.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Call it up mate. I walk across the field, halfway across the field. Give me a warm clap, my bro. Take my game away from me. I just stood there for 10 minutes. I go,
wat het nou gebeur?
I'm trying to figure out what happened. Yeah. So I go home and tell my dad about it. My dad go, okay, wait. Yes, my dad go catch some cock. I just hear people screaming inside. He come back with the game. He goes, let's go. That was my first rob. And then there was this one bro after school. Yes, he still robbed me every day. I was still smoking. And he only tapped my ends. He said, steal my cigarette. I was going to try to walk other ways home, but
Hy
het my gevang. You could smell me about. Yes.
Good. There's some people asking now the question, the one that's asking here, what's her name? Janet Brown, Baron.
Yep.
She's asking, how can they get in contact with you if they want to book you for a NGO dinner as a keynote speaker?
It's fantastic. You can just, I'm easy to get in touch with. You can get in touch with me via email, which is contact@kurt.co.za, or you can DM me in my Instagram page, which is Kurt Schoonraad. And I mean, there's a million ways to get in touch with me.
Okay.
Just Google my name, and there's an office number, and it all comes back to me.
Okay. So do you have a Janet? You can just message him in the
As a Janet.
And then also they're asking about your up-and-coming shows.
My next show is it's next week actually.
Okay.
It's the 12th to the 17th of May. It's called Funny Side Up, and you can book the tickets on web tickets. Come and support. I'd love to see you guys there. And it's all new material. It's all new stuff. I'm so proud of how it's come together. The show we literally wrote it over the last 3 or 4 months. It's directed by Dave Levinson. I don't know if you're also a South African comedy ninja. And I look forward to seeing you all there.
Yeah, no, we're gonna come. We're gonna go.
Stab out.
Or
stick out.
And any plans for the future? Any shows, TV shows, cars,
Kurt Loves Cars, keep an eye on that. What I'm going to start doing with Kurt Loves Cars is I don't, because you'll see some Ferraris in there, you'll see some McLaren stuff there. But what I want to do is find the owns from the flats. I want to come and see your car.
Please, guys.
Please write me a message if you've got a car that's interesting, that you want to showcase, what you want to feature. Drop me an email to contact@kurt.co.za. Go on my Instagram page, which is Kurt Schoonraad, or Kurt Loves Cars, and just drop me a message. Just send me your phone number. Let's contact. I'll come through with a camera crew.
Nice.
We shoot it. We tell me how you feel about your car. We take it for a short cruise.
But this doesn't apply to the people with the Golf make ones in the cars.
Well, listen, if we can't do every Golf Mark 1, but if it's special and it's something that's unusual, tell me about it. If it's an old Datsun, especially, Marco's old Datsun. If it's an old Toyota Corona and it's a two-door or something that's, you've got an RS 2000 or for it's something that's a little special. Let me know. I would love to interview you and showcase your car on Kurt Loves Cars. It would be fantastic. I want to celebrate this dreaming story on the flats.
Yes.
And there's a lot of oaks that have fabulous cars that nobody will ever know about until we go, listen, man, that's worth celebrating. Can we celebrate together?
But there's a lot of things that we have that we're hiding.
True.
Cars, bikes, our gifts, our talent. We are so talented and we are so gifted.
Man, there was a guy I met a couple of years ago who does special Beetle engines. I've got an old Beetle, and that I'm still busy building at the moment. And this guy does roller crankshafts for Beetles, and so there's no rev limit really. It's like the old Porsches used to be. I think you can make a Porsche go 200. I mean, an old Beetle go 200 k's per hour, my bruh, with the right piece of kit in it, There are oaks out there that are doing it right now.
Yes.
In his garage somewhere.
In Kingston, yes. There's guys that is taking, taking cars that were spaced up, or they're taking old cars and they're restoring it. Not in the garage, here in the shop. I play that.
There's a guy that I know now. His name is Adil. Adil's also from. He runs a company called For Real Car Hire. I don't know if you know.
Yes.
He's also from the plane.
Yeah.
You must check the Danos cars, bro. He's got like 4 convertible Impalas. There's a couple of Pontiacs that are convertible, some special cars. But he's also like a dreamer, like just like I am,
Yeah.
And we met a couple of years ago and we chat lekker on all of the shows. But then there's other oaks from the flats again, in that American custom hot rod space.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of us, but they're there.
They're there. We are gifted and talented.
There's a guy called Jeremy. He does custom paint work. Bro, you did like a Chicano type of like layered paint in like bright oranges and pinks and red on his old 39 Chevy's got. Bro, I saw it the other day at the South African Hot Rod National down in Parallel.
Yeah.
Unbelievable quality. What world class. But from the flats, my bro.
And I think we sell ourselves short, like you mentioned earlier on. We have the gift here with us.
We are afraid to dream because we feel like it's never going to go anywhere. But you know what? For every dream you have, there's a brother that can help you get there.
Exactly.
There's another that's dreaming the same dream you have.
Yeah.
And if you put 2 or 3 of you together in a room, this magic can happen. Look at this, bro.
Yeah.
This is literally, the studio came from a couple of oaks.
Yeah.
Dreaming about an idea.
Yeah. Started on the laptop, now we're here. Started at the bottom, now we're here.
Yeah, my bro. If you don't know, now you know.
Kurt, it was nice having you here, but I want you to give them a message of encouragement. There is another Kurt running there with a snort in his plane.
There's another Kurt with a snort. He's firstly wiped the nose. Hey. But here's the thing, is if you've got a dream out there, that's 90% of the job. It feels like the other way around, like the dream is only the 10% of the job. But it's not. That dream is 90% of the job. All you got to do is find like-minded people, or owns, or guys, that's already in your space. If you think about it, they're already in your space. They can help you get there. Don't be afraid to ask for help. That's another thing we're not good at, asking for help. But if there's a comedian out there that wants to be the comedian, I'll be very happy to give you the information. But you're still going to have to do it on your own. You're still going to have to stand up there and do the stuff and write the material. And if you fall on your gut, you got to get up and do it again and again and again and again. Never give up.
Yeah.
But do it. You can do, no matter what it is, whether it's comedy, you want to be, how many of us, there was that other lady that was in Manova Park, that studied throughout COVID, they studied throughout load shedding, but she became a doctor.
Yes.
You know the story. But how encouraging is that? That's not only plausible, it's possible.
Yes.
Get up and do it.
Yeah. We are from the Cape Flats, and we did it. And we're still trying today.
Dude, there are so many influential people from the flats that is willing to help you. They're willing to give you the advice. They're willing to give you like an inside track. They're willing to give you the information, because the information is the important part. Because you can do anything with the right information, bro.
Yeah. It's how you execute it.
Information's power. It really is. And if you don't know, you won't know.
Yeah.
You know?
Kurt, it was nice having you here.
The pleasure's all mine.
Thank you.
Thanks for having
We're
me.
going to have you back again.
Please do.
And all the best with your show.
Please. Can I say the dates again?
Yeah,
Just so,
give it to them.
so which one?
That one.
The 12th to the 17th of May, that's next Monday to next Saturday. Oh, what's very important, and I forgot to tell you, is on the matinee show on the 17th, that's the Saturday, I've got an all-inclusive show where we get the deaf community in, and I've got an interpreter on stage, a signed interpreter, so that we include the deaf community in that space. I'm really excited about that show. I don't know how it's going to go, but we're just going to be ourselves.
Yeah.
And we're going to get the deaf community involved in the space. I'm excited about that. Come and check out the show. Come and support.
You go.
So sorry? It is at the Baxter Theatre, and you can get the tickets on web tickets. It's on Saturday, the 17th is the inclusive show, but the show runs from the 12th to the 17th. That's 5 nights and a matinee show.
Kurt, all the best, and we wish you all the luck and everything. Everybody must support you. Support our boy from the Cape Flats.
Cheers, my bro. Thank you, Stan. Much appreciated. And thanks to you. You got a fabulous team here, by the way. You don't see what's happening backstage over here. But they're great owns. They all want the same thing. They all have a dream about getting the talent from the flats into spaces where they get to share stuff. That's fantastic. I'm willing to support that.
Thank you. Thank you, Kurt.
Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the funny man from the Cape Flats. From Westridge, Funny Mitchell's playing. Doing it for himself. Guys, there's no excuses. If he can do it, so can you. Have an awesome evening, and we'll see you guys next week again. Cheers.